What up, ladies and gentlemen? Today going to be going over some living situation stuff, running a remote conference and an experiment with running the team remotely that I've set up, about both myself working remotely and having potentially the whole team remotely. The gamification system, Paulina, who's a new hire who's working out really well, the one I teased last time. Some really cool branding updates about the company that we've been getting back from the Australian team. Some surprising figures about GameTree actually doing a lot better than I was expecting. And also, lastly, is about why I am swearing off sex and drugs for a while until a certain metric is achieved. So in general, here's Jordy. He's a friend of a friend/investor who's filming a reality show, and Jordy's a friend of his that he met actually playing games. He just flew over from Australia and is filming the buddy. They just got back from Miami, and I have an extra room here, need the cash as well, so I'm hosting Jordy here. So right now is a remote day for the GameTree team, except for Jordy, myself, and Moniki Monster here. And I'm going to be going to Mongolia for a couple weeks to basically build the discipline, get off of technology, meet nomads. I keep putting off this trip, and then ending up in Bali. I set a date for that at the end of next month because there's a running remote conference. That's a lot of the world's thought leaders on remote teams from companies or people who have businesses. And at that point, I'm either going to need to start actually working myself to be able to sustain GameTree, or to be able to get the knowledge to be able to run a remote team. Well, that'll be useful regardless, or also potentially meet like angel investors and such. And speaking of the remote, there's one of the team who's been really pushing to have less days in the office, even though it's only like 2.5 days in the office right now. He keeps pushing and pushing, and the idea of not having an office is nice. People get more free time if they can motivate themselves. If they don't have to commute, you can hire from different places. So there's so many different benefits. So I thought of an experiment that actually I think is pretty good, where basically we spec'd out the GameTree minimum viable product for the gamification that we're implementing, and it seems like, based on all the assumptions from the developers, we could actually get it done by next Friday, and that's even including multiplying everything by 2.5 times, which is a good rule of thumb for software development, because everything always takes way longer than expected. So I made a deal with him that next week we'll only meet twice instead of 3 times, and if we can get this gamification system out and published into testing, then we won't have to have Wednesday meetings anymore for the next month and a half. And so he's pretty happy about that. It's a good way to motivate him and also to see if we can actually achieve this goal while running remotely. So it's sort of an objective way to either shut down him requesting all the time less office work, or actually him being right about not needing days in the office and being just as productive. Because a lot of the world's been moving towards remote working, but the more recent research is that it's actually not working that well, and a lot of companies are moving back. So hopefully I'd like to be able to get this to work, so we'll see. And then the gamification system itself, super excited about. It just really makes playing games with people through the GameTree sessions the main KPI, and it should grow the app because people will be telling people, hey, you should sign up for GameTree so we get credit for this. It'll increase retention because people will be opening the app to actually do something, because right now people mostly just use it to discover friends or games, and they either discover those things and then they don't need GameTree, or they do find them and then they just go to Steam or Discord and then they don't use GameTree anyways. So this gamification system, really excited. And I think this will be the last blog post I do until that's out. So hopefully I'll have some cool reports to you about how that's working out and if that's changing things. And then along that note, it turns out that our American mobile users retention is 38% right now for the weekly. And that's actually decent for a social network. But also bear in mind that those are people that we're not paying to advertise or to acquire. They're mostly just organic users, so at scale it might not look like that. The gamification system could boost that a lot, we'll see. But what I found interesting is looking into the month-over-month retention, not the end of the first month, but every month after the first week going on. We actually have about a 73% month-over-month retention, which I'm kind of happy about. I assumed it would have been half that. So that's I guess a nice figure when looking kind of at the tail end of things. So that also makes me optimistic about getting this gamification system in and being able to implement our monetization, which we're about to roll out, basically selling anonymized data, no people's names, no emails or usernames. So it's a good way to monetize without ruining the user experience or betraying people. And then having that little bit of income, being able to roll out more with this gamification system, being able to do subscriptions, pretty positive about that. again, it's just a hard time getting between now and then, is just the managing expenses, and also dealing with Poland is like really difficult, having to get like extra contracts made between all the developers, having to get like proof of where their residency is, having to send invoices for all work done, and then have them having to get receipts is just a lot more steps. Whereas before I would just make a general contract and then just have a record of payment, and then that was like as simple as we'd track things. There would be a digital footprint, but now it's like a lot more intensive, so that's what I'm going to be doing a lot of my time today. And then also there's Paulina, who I had mentioned in the last video, and she basically responded within 3 minutes of us posting this position, since the other people left the company or I fired people. And she's been working out like amazingly. She's just high energy, focused, gets things done, very results oriented, measures things. And I asked her about how things are going so far, and she said that overall this is like kind of a dream job so far. Hopefully that remains true, but overall just really happy with her joining the team. And then the Australian team also sent over a first version of the brand that they're creating for us, and something I thought was amazing is a hero's journey, where it goes from sort of light baby blue colors to sort of like orangey red, more heroic or friendly colors, because of like the leveling system with gamification that we're going to map it out to. So people start off kind of like an everyman or a citizen, then they kind of become heroes, and that's actually shown through the colors in the app and those going up. So yeah, overall, that's sort of the updates. And the last thing is that, again, I swore off it's basically sex and drugs for as long as it takes to get to a certain milestone that for me is having more income than expenses. That could either be the business generating revenue, me finding remote work to cover the company, or getting a sizable enough investment that I can actually pay myself a salary. Because what I realize is that until I have higher income than expenses, I'm sort of like stressed out and not able to approach situations or people almost as equals, or I like kind of am devaluing things, or just always feel like I'm on this like clock that's not even necessarily healthy. And it's hard to, when you're doing business to business deals, to come from a position of confidence or strength when you're constantly having this burn where you're needy and dependent on other people. So the no sex and drugs, I think, is going to not just motivate me, but also just focus me better, because I'm spending less time in those places. And so hopefully I achieve these things, because I don't want to live life like that. But I think for now it's nice to motivate myself, and I feel like I'm getting close within a few months of finally being able to be at a spot where I can relax a bit more. So wish me luck on that, and see you next time.